from the shallow. Me to go live yet? No. Haha, I fixed it. Sorry about that. Welcome. Hey, Chris, and anyone who ends up showing up. Um, Daggerheart hype is definitely live, especially after yesterday with the void being revealed. So we are jumping into it. Um, oh wow, that's like this is crazy. Let's see here. Gonna look at a couple things and then I'll get everything squared away. But I have the live character sheet that I will definitely be using. Um, Still new to this whole live stream thing and getting things prepped and set and ready. Um, but yeah, let's take a look. I want to switch over to, let me just close off some of these tabs that I'm not using right now so that way it doesn't flood everything that's going on. But I don't know how long this will be. Maybe like an hour is like my plan on how long I plan on going for this. Um, but I definitely want to go over the void because I'm really excited about um, the warlock and the fighter, especially because I wasn't expecting to get like new classes anytime soon. Um, but let me take a look here. So let's take a look at some of the stuff here from the void and what exactly is the void. So Darrington Press released recently, well, literally yesterday because the game launched, but on launched during their live stream, they also talked about a new playtesting hub known as the Void, which is really sick, and also introducing, adding like my personal favorite art, which is the, let's see here. Um, Let me make sure that what is showing is live. I want to make sure that everything is like correct before I jump in. Because I feel like there's something off with the stream software from my side. Okay, looks like everything's working properly. Everything didn't look right on the preview. So, um, in terms of the Void is a playtesting hub that they announced yesterday on the live stream, where they're going to be showing basically unearthed arcana here. So I'm really excited to kind of see what this looks like. So it looks like they're gonna. The thing that I'm excited is that they're gonna be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So we have classes, subclasses, ancestries, communities, adversaries, weapons, and more. I hope that we're also gonna see campaign frames in here. I think that would be really fun to see kind of new frames. Though I don't suspect that frames will be anytime soon unless they're really cooking. Um, but yeah, basically take this stuff. This is not available on Demiplane. So if we go to Demiplane, um, if we go to Demiplane and go to Daggerheart, we won't see anything in regards to like the fighter. We might see like words using the fighter, but we won't see the class of the fighter yet. And so really this is just kind of me taking first impressions of like what exactly is in all these modules. Um, this is just written form. I hope that Demiplane will eventually take the initiative to add some of this playtest material as like a toggle option that we can add. But I know they're also working on so many things like homebrew content and fixing that stuff or making it so that it's available to us. So with the Void, we do have the Warlock, which does come with um, a new domain known as the Dread domain, which I was not expecting a new domain either. But the Warlock comes with a pack of the Endless and the Path of the Wrathful. I've only heard word and hearsay about how it's underwhelming, which it could be. I'm not sure. I have no clue. Um, but I've heard that the fighter, at least from my impressions of looking at it and hearing about it with exploding dice, really excites me. Um, because if anybody's played the game by Dimension 20, the Kids on Bikes module, Never Stop Blowing Up, or Never Stop Blowing Up, I think is what it's called. Basically, the dice consistently blow up. And I have no clue what it actually looks like because I haven't read through everything yet. I've just kind of like taken to the last 24, 48 hours as consuming as much content as I can. And I haven't even looked into this. But the Dread Domain looks so interesting to me. So let's just read the general description of what they give us. Those who traded their lives, or perhaps even their souls, to otherworldly patrons in exchange for incredible power are known as warlocks. Often these mortals are at a point of desperation that leads them to such sacrifice. To protect themselves or a loved one, aid their community, seek vengeance, increase their status, or otherwise further their ambitions. Play the two new subclasses of the Pack of the Endless and Path of Wrathful. We'll probably look at this because I am going to for sure build a fighter here. I'm playing a game of Daggerheart this weekend with some members of the community. We've even seen them like on. Um, we've seen them in the looking for group. I saw it immediately. Olivia, um, otherwise known as the meaning of night on the Discord is running a game, and I just so happen to have that time slot open, so I'm jumping into it after literally GMing a game a few hours before. So I want to bring this in because I feel like I've played a lot of the classes already, or at least GM'd for all the classes for sure. GM'd for all the classes with 100 games of Daggerheart now and under my belt. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to try one of the new ones. Warlock seems interesting, but the fighter I think I'm just more excited on, so I'm gonna build something there. So let's look at what the fighter is, and then we'll dive into the warlock. So the fighter class, which hot take, I think they should rename the fighter class to something else. Um, just something else. I feel like the fighter and the warrior are too close in name and theme for what we think about for them to really be the same class. I also had like this was also something that was said where in 5e at the very early beginning of 5e where people said that the monk and the fighter is redundant. Obviously the monk became its own thing and now it's like a very obvious archetype. And even here in the picture we can kind of see that this is very much resembling the monk. But fighter class. Experts in unarmed combat, fighters hone their bodies into lethal weapons using impressive martial forms. Whether they learned in a structured school environment or picked up one of them, or picked up their skills one fight at a time, the process always is always rigorous, with fighters developing their body and mind to work as one. Um, I feel like pugilist could be good, but there's oddly enough, like this is just weird. Oddly enough, pugilist has this kind of wording that people don't know enough about what exactly a pugilist is that they get confused by it and it often deters. Like pugilist often in a lot of other games ends up having a very low play rate. And that's just from what I have seen. Um, so I feel like pugilist could be a good name, but I'm not sure if it's the best name for like brand ability. Um, so yeah, pugilist. Um, could be good, but I just don't know what to call this. Like, I don't think we call it monk. I think monk's the wrong thing to call it. Um, maybe we call it the brute, or maybe we call it the I don't know something. But pugilist just doesn't. Punch man, yeah, yeah, punch man. Let's do that. Let's just call it punch man. Anyways, let's go. Let's dive into the warlock a little bit here because there's a lot more to dive into the warlock. Um, a lot of this stuff is fairly standard. Looks like their starting evasion's 10, so that's a little bit of a small thing. Hope feature. We're just gonna go top to bottom. It's just easier this way. Patron's protection. On a successful attack against you, you can spend 3 hope. If you do, the GM must spend a fear to make the attack hit or it misses. Okay, that's not bad. I feel like the GM oftentimes does have a lot of fear, so I don't necessarily think this is a very obvious use. But for 3 hope for the GM to spend a fear, that's a pretty big like power exchange because you're spending 3 hope as a player. The GM is spending 1 hope themselves. So for the time it takes for you to generate three hope, the GM is losing 1 fear. You're losing 3 hope. They're losing 1 fear. I don't feel like that's equal. I feel like maybe that's rough. I feel like that needs help. Not super impressed on the first read. Agreed. But we'll see what happens. I think maybe there might be something that could come up. Um, I think I might even like it to where maybe it's like you spend 3 hope. I don't even know. I don't even know how to make this. I like the idea though. I think the hope feature is cool. I think spending 3 hope for a patron to protect you is a cool thing. Maybe you can't add evasion because evasion's like a permanent thing. And you don't want to do armor because then you're taking it away from the guardian who already kind of has a precedent of adding armor with 3 hope. Anyways, let's see that there. Let's zoom in a little, just so that way it's easier to read for your eyes and for my eyes. Okay, class feature, Warlock Patron. You have a patron to whom you've committed yourself in exchange for power. Create a name for your patron right above. Then add 2 boons that represent your patron's spheres of influence and set their values to +3. anytime you increase your tier, these boons also permanently increase. Interesting. Not sure what to make of that. We'll see how these boons work. Before making an action roll where the boons would be applicable, you can spend favor to call on your patron and add it bonus to the roll. So this boon works as an additional experience on top of your normal experiences. Let's keep reading just to see how it sells it to me. Favor. Start with 2 favor. During a long rest, pay one of your downtime actions as a tithe to your patron. When you do, gain 1d4 favor from them. If you choose to forego this offering, the GM instead gains a fear. Okay. Okay. So, the patron is helping you with your abilities to spellcast. And in favor, gaining higher levels of success. It's interesting. I wonder though if the dread domain does have stuff that deal with boons, but then the issue with dread domain as you continue to scale it is now if somebody else wants to pick a dread domain, that class must also have something involved with boons. This could be interesting. The GM taking a fear though I think is a must start with. Like you basically I don't know. I feel like this can be good as if this is the negative, because remember, these are still plus bonuses. With Daggerheart being a more of a bell curve, you have more higher or more normalized averages of 13. So a +3 and then plus an experience. Say you're using that's an it's automatic +5, so that's an 18. Most tier 4 adversaries are just hitting 18. So I think this is pretty good, especially at low level. You have this right off the bat. Your 13 at base can be a very easy 18, which is basically almost always going to succeed. Now, the GM giving fear, I think, can be problematic, but it just depends on what we see in the dread domain. If we see a good amount of stuff in the dread domain, then that might change my mind. But right now, I'm whelmed. Not underwhelmed or overwhelmed, just whelmed. We'll see what happens here. Um, so, fairly standard stuff. Scepter, leather armor, agility. Looks like it might be a presence, which if we're following the format of Dungeons and Dragons, charisma presence is about the same. Presence is likely the spellcast roll. Though, does it say? Does not say. I don't know where on the sheet it is supposed to say. Okay, background questions. What desperate situation led you to pledging your life before a patron? Fairly standard. I feel like we get that a lot with our D&D warlocks. Your patron has given you one task to accomplish above all else. What is it and why does it worry you? That's fairly standard for a warlock. You and your patron are similar in a very specific way. What characteristic do you share and how do you feel about it? Okay, fairly standard. I think this is I actually really like the last question. I think you can also like possibly in a setting maybe speak with your GM about what if this is a flip? You and your patron are distinctively dissimilar. You could flavor that question there. Okay, connection questions. I like this. I like the warlock having connection questions because one thing in D&D that I see a lot of times with warlocks, and sometimes even sorcerers, and really anybody with a secret, is nobody knows about the warlock's patron, and this one makes it so that there's one person at the start. So I confided about you about what my patron says and does. Why? Kind of gives you that connection to the people that you're already traveling with, that you have a patron. So people know about this. It becomes a mechanic that this kind of not this like wiggle room. I like it sometimes to an extent, but this definitely does take away naturally coded where the patron is not a secret to the party. You once saw me tithe to my patron. How and it's changed how you interact with me. What did you see and how has it affected you? I like the question. Really great question. Once I did something very foolish, and you have never let me live it down. What was it? Really like the question. I like that. Well, at least one of the questions isn't necessarily patron tied. Um, but yeah, cool. Fairly standard, pretty good. Let's see if they get any extra things in the level up. Other than being standard. Standard. Nothing new here. Um, but yeah, Chris, by far my favorite thing about Daggerheart is connection questions. This is one thing I refuse to not let my players do when I'm teaching Sablewood Messengers and like teaching the game. Connection questions are like built in. Um, I have to do that. It's by far my favorite thing. I even do it for one shots because I just love the mechanic. Okay, so we have 2 packs: Pack of the Endless, Pack of the Wrathful. Let's look at Pack of the Endless. I know I just scrolled up and down, so sorry for everybody else. Work in progress. I'm interested to see the art though. The art is going to look sick because they've done so well on the art. Um, Pact of the Endless. Foundation. Present spellcast rate. Okay, so this is where it's at. Patron's Mantle. Mark a stress to transform into a terrifying visage that lasts until you take severe damage or the scene ends. While transformed, you can spend a favor in place of an armor slot. Okay, favor can be interchanged for armor. Interesting. You have advantage to intimidate a target. This does end up being odd for a Inferis Warlock then, because of the natural advantage, and also for um not Scumborn. What the heck is it called? Scumborn is not it. It's the secret ones. What are they? Slyborn. You have advantage to negotiate criminals, so this could be used here as well. So kind of has a little bit of too much overlap. I think this needs to be a little different. Maybe. Before you roll, risk it all on a death move. You can spend a favor to add one of your boons to your hope die. Okay. Okay. This is pretty good, honestly. Um yeah, the interactability with Scumborn, yes. The interactability with your favor, I think, is going to make favor good. If the dread domain interacts with favor, it's going to be good. Once again, the issue is this is going to be a very difficult one. So now, how do you give the dread domain to another class? I like this avoid death, but for growth of expansion, creating a domain. Oh no, wait, this isn't a domain. This is a warlock feature. I lied. Never mind. Leave me. It's a warlock feature. All right. Specialization, draining invocation. When an adversary targets you or an ally within very close range with an attack, you can spend a favor to make them roll a d12 instead of a d20 on the attack. Additionally, the adversary must mark a stress, and you can clear a stress. How often does this happen? Oh, as long as you have favor. So, specialization, we're at tier 5. Let me look back again. Starts with 2 favor. Okay, the boons are what increases when you're at tier 5. So your boons are now at tier 5, 5 instead of +3. Okay, good. Scrolling back down. So this is really good. Bringing your d12, so your average hit die for this now drops down to a 6-7 or a 6-5. The GM still has a chance to hit Guardians, but actually, that's actually pretty good for giving the Guardians a chance at not getting hit. Obviously, there's the modifier, so a +1 at tier 1, +2 at tier 2, +3 at tier, or +2, 1 at 1, 2 at 2, 3 at 3, 4 at 4. If you're using the improvise sheets, that's pretty good. You're basically making Rangers not hittable, but marking a stress and clearing a stress, I think, is really strong. This does require you to be within by your allies, which I think, depending on how you build your warlock, could be interesting positionally. Like, do you play then the do you play then a paladin? Like, could you make this a paladin? Could you go heavy armor and then go with like a rapier as a presence weapon, so that way you're in the thick of it with all your attacks? Oh dude, this is actually really strong. Like the Pack of the Endless for something more of a frontline tanky warlock sounds so cool. I'm super down for that. Okay, Pack of the Endless, Mastery, level 8 is the earliest you can get this. Once per long rest, spend a favor instead of marking hit points. Solid. Actually, super solid. Very super solid. Oh no, Rachel's going live right now. So those Rachel on the Fate Divinities just put an announcement on the thing. I'm just looking at a Discord. They're going live right now. If you want to go say hi to over there, say hi, because she's gonna talk about all the hot gossip at Tricky Teas. What is it called? It's the Geeky Teas. I want to go over there, but I want to read through this. Um, Draining Bane. The target of your draining invocation also becomes temporarily drained. While drained, all their attack rolls use a D12 instead of a D20. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a really solid one. I don't know who said that the Warlock was not just mid, but this is solid. Some stuff needs to be adjusted. I think they can go up and down a little bit um, with how some of the features work so far, especially the Hope feature. But this is pretty good. Um, so let's see. Um, let me see. Okay. All right. Pack of the Wrathful. Look at this. Presence. On a failed attack roll, you can spend a favor to re-roll the attack. If it fails again, you mark a stress. Kind of rough, but kind of warranted, I guess. But this is true. This is true advantage, though. So this is interesting because it's permanent. You can spend a fear, and as long as you have it, or spend a favor, and it is true advantage, like 5e's advantage, rather than just the plus d6. And this still can stack with experiences and all that stuff too. So that's cool. I would like to see them change this wording to rather than re-roll the attack, like maybe re-roll the attack, but then choose which one you want to take, just in case your first one was higher, because the wording doesn't specify that. Energy drain. When you succeed on with a hope with an attack roll, instead of taking hope, you can have the target choose to mark a stress. Kind of hard because hope is the strongest resource in the game. Overall, the a GM's worst nightmare is not a strong party. A GM's worst nightmare is a party with hope. So, um, this one's a little whelming. Pact of the Wrathful. When you make a successful attack roll with fear, you can spend a favor to reroll any number of your damage dice. You continue spending favor to reroll these dice as many times as you like. I want to look at how to gain favor again. I'm pretty sure it's just during a rest, but I feel like you need more ways to gain favor because favor is a resource that can go away pretty quick. I feel like favor needs to be a flexible resource. Okay. When you spend favor to imbue your primary, or you can spend favor to imbue your primary weapon with your patron's power. When you do, add an additional d6 to all damage rolls you make with it per favor spent until your next rest. This is not powerful. A d6 is not that much at level 8. Mastery you get at level 8 at the highest doesn't really feel great. Patron's Rest, once per rest. When you take damage, you can spend favor for each target within close range. For each you spend favor. For each you spend a favor for, they must mark a hit point. Now that is a strong feature. Once per rest when you take it. That's a strong feature. I like that feature for level 8. Really strong. Really like it. Solid. But, once again, this only happening during long rests is really rough. Start with 2 favor. Is a start with 2 favor per session at the start of a session? That's another thing that I want to mark down for notes. I don't know. I feel like favor needs a lot of work. I feel like the balance isn't there. The feel isn't there. It feels like you're punishing the player a little too much for the benefit you gain from the Warlock Patron. At least for Pack of the Wrathful. Pack of the Endless, I actually really like. I think Pack of the Endless is really cool. Yeah, Pack of the Endless is solid. If I was playing a Warlock, I'd play Pact with the Endless. I would not touch Pact of the Wrathful unless I'm playing high level and I can guarantee myself to get Patron's Wrath. Okay. How's everyone else feel? How's everyone else feel? I'm kind of looking at the comments here a little bit. Let's see, Daniel Grace. I like one subclass from each class. Okay, my only complaint is to me both classes obviously have one better subclass. I agree. I think well I haven't seen the fighter. We'll see how the fighter is. I think for the most part how Daggerheart currently is, um, it's perfect. Like Daggerheart really is perfect for like how the subclasses are. So I'll kind of scroll over here while we look through. This is basically what I am doing. Nope, this one. So this is how I. This is here's the thing. When I saw Taliesin doing this on stream, I was like, he's taking my idea. But then I was like, the reality is, I'm probably not the only one. But I put all my stuff in a binder, so it's coded because of how everything works by factors of 9 and 3s and multiples of 12. It works perfectly because of how everything works. So you have the 18 ancestries, 9 and 9. You have the technically both. I put both of them in one sleeve since they're both basically the same, so that way I have it organized. But ancestries, communities, and then I start with the class choices. And so, kind of why I pulled this out, Daniel, I think Troubadour and Wordsmith. I personally do think Troubadour is a little bit better, but they're both good. They're both super playable. I like Warden of Elements better in terms of feel, but Renewal is really strong for healing. I think Stalwart's technically the strongest, but the reality is Guardian's hell is strong no matter what. So it doesn't really matter. Um, Ryloman. Hi, welcome to the stream. Beastbound, obviously great. Wayfinder, super strong. Kind of annoying a little bit as a GM because it's hard to play against. Like I can just get there. Nightwalker, strong. Syndicate, my personal favorite subclass. I know I'm covering my face with the screen. Divine Wielder, Wing Sentinel. I like Divine Wielder a little bit more because I'm not necessarily a guy who really likes flying, but both are super playable. And then Elemental Origin, Primal Origin, basically the same thing. Call of the Brave, hot take. Call of the Brave is better than Call of the Slayer mechanically. I don't care what anyone says. I think generating hope for your team is the strongest thing that you possibly can do in Daggerheart because it gives you higher flexibility on what you want to do as a player. So Call of the Brave, I personally think is stronger than Call of the Slayer, but they're both viable, really great classes. School of Knowledge, School of War. I like Knowledge better because I like the consistency of experiences, but School of War is also really strong. But regardless, there might be one that I might favor more, or might be something that someone else favors more, but totally playable. As far as I'm seeing with the Warlock classes, um, I don't see the same level of strength. Oops, this one, labeling the wrong ones. Anyways, but it's very clear to me. Endless is very strong. Being able to change the GM's die from a D20 to a D12 is incredibly strong, especially when it comes to the mastery of being able to target a solo adversary this way. Um, but Wrathful, there's just way too much hope and favor cost for how much favor you can generate because you can only generate at max 4 favor per long rest. So you can only use your feature 4 times. So for these abilities, for Pact of the Wrathful, you can only do this reroll thing 4 times, which arguably could be just as strong. I don't know. We'll definitely have to play with it. Let's dive into Dread Domain. I don't think. Hold on. Let me finish reading through some of these questions here before we dive into that. Any questions? A lot of meh. Javelin Entertainment. Austin over there with the whelmed. Um, cool. Chris, I see that you're talking about the Discord. I cannot keep track of the Discord right now. Um, but yeah, it's super like it's there's so much going on. Um, but yeah, great idea too, Chris. I like the binder. Thanks for the binder. Like the clarify. Come on, I don't care all about power. Yeah, no, I mean Daniel, I also agree. I don't really care much about power, but I do think that in terms of playability, Wrathful does not feel good to play, which then would translate to is it fun to play? And I want to have a lot more. I want my players to basically have a lot more fun playing the game. And I don't think Wrathful gives you a lot of fun because it doesn't give you a lot of options. And I think in some ways the way that Daggerheart gives you some of the options and sprinkles it with in the game, I think it's just. I don't think that Wrathful just does that. I don't think it feels good. But yeah. So let's look at some of these domain abilities. So, oh yeah, that's right, 3. So first we are sharing. What do they share? They share grace and wrathful. So let me pull over to grace, which is color coded in pink. I also, one thing about this binder too, and I won't change the screen, but I also coded them to what they are in the back. So anytime I go to my pink section, that's going to be grace. So I just want to have this so that way I know what I'm pulling from. So I have Enrapture, Deaf Deceiver, and Inspirational Words. I won't go over what those do, but I want to say, but just in comparison to the dread domains to the other options is kind of the only reason I'm having this open. So make a spellcast roll against a target with fear, or within far range. On a successful attack, target takes d6 magic. Okay, using your proficiency, and the next time the target deals damage to an ally, it's reduced by d6. Cool, blight. I like this. If you succeed with fear, the target instead takes a d10 worth of damage using proficiency. Okay, I like this. Very backwards mechanic to normal. When you want to roll with fear. Interesting. Don't know how I feel about that, because it's a little counterintuitive, or I guess it's not counterintuitive. No matter how you go about it, there's going to be a plus to whether you roll with fear or hope. Either it's going to be you either gain the hope, or if you roll with fear and give the DM a fear, you get to take or they take an extra damage. So that's not bad. Voice of Dread. You can magically speak directly into the ears of a creature you see to torment them with your words. To make a spellcast roll against them on a success, they must mark a stress and become temporarily vulnerable. Okay. I would like this at a level 1 to, rather than to be temporarily vulnerable, I think there should be a time. I think it should work similar to, um, it's yellow. I think it should work similar to Bolt Beacon. Um, oh, Bolt Beacon changed too. They are temporarily vulnerable and glows light until this condition is cleared. So, never mind. This is the same precedent as Bolt Beacon. Yeah. Okay, this is good. If this is the same precedent, I did not know that. I now need to clock that in for the games that I run tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. Um, vulnerable is a condition that happens with Bolt Beacon until I clear it as a GM. Noted. Okay, Umbral Veil. Make a spellcast, roll 10 on a success, spend any number of hope, and place them equal to the number of tokens on this card to encase yourself in shadowy energy. After an attack roll is made against you, you may spend a number of tokens to gain a +1 bonus to your evasion per token against that attack. I think that's reasonable. This is definitely one of those things that you do not take with a frontline warlock. You want to take it with a backline warlock. So, cool. Okay. Nothing too crazy there. Level 2, Tell No Lies from Grace, Troublemaker, and Hypnotic Shimmer. That's what these are fighting against. I think the level 1 abilities are worded well. Austin, Javelin Entertainment. Voice of Dread, every turn seems like it could be strong. Yeah, I would say that this Voice of Dread is pretty strong. I actually really like this. Marking a stress and making them vulnerable, even at higher levels, is still like a really solid, like, Warlock, Eldritch Blast. Like, you can pull this thing at high level and still do pretty well with it, I think. Especially because it's zero cards to unbolt. Okay, let's see. Hideous Reputation. When an ally within close range takes damage from a target you see, you can make a reaction roll against the target. On a success, mark a stress, and deal a d6 magic damage using your proficiency. It's okay. Eh. Yeah. Okay. Austin, if you misread and now you think, no, it does deal a stress, does it not? They must mark a stress. Yeah, it deals a stress to them. Yeah, they must mark a stress and they become temporarily vulnerable. So, yeah, delta stress. Siphon Essence. Make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. On a success, once per short rest, the target takes 1d8 or just a d8 damage using proficiency, and you clear 2 hit points. If you succeed with fear, Once per short rest. Okay. Only happens once, Siphon Essence. I think this is fair. Um, I might make this a level 3 card. Oh, hold on. I forgot. These are the only 2 cards. So maybe this one I feel like is not as strong as a level 2. Maybe needs to be bumped up a little. Or I think it might be a little too strong with the amount of health that you're healing. Um, but yeah. But yeah, so with Voice of Dread, most creatures at tier 1, so when you're probably picking this up, have on average like 2 stress maybe. So you're hitting them temporarily vulnerable and then hitting them hard. Yeah, this is a lot of healing on Siphon Essence early on. 2 to 3 is pretty good. I think either you reduce the healing or maybe like 1 or 2 hit points. Um, but then or you can take this and just bump it up. I think at 3 you're solid. I think at 3 this is that power fantasy that you're trying to get. Terrify, make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. So we have Hypnotic Shimmer as another one. On a success, the target marks 1d4 stress. You can choose to make the target run 1 range away from you. You can spend a hope to make the target temporarily vulnerable. Okay. I do think that it's funny to go from far to very far. Like that's a lot of distance that this dude's like running away, especially at how far they are. Um, I think Terrify might be like better worded if like you make him run to far range, maybe, because that means that the GM's then required to make a roll, an agility roll, to get back into the fight. So I think far range is doable. I don't think it necessarily needs to be like 1 range away from you. I think that sets a weird precedent for like wording wise. Yeah. Far to very far is like a massive distance. I think if you just make Terrify similar to how Whip works, because Whip is like when you make the attack roll, it sends everybody, I think, to very close, or Whip sends everyone to what's it, either very close or close range, something like that. But up to far range, I think is one of those things like it's making someone from close and you're making sure they get away from you. And it is that level of Terrify because right, remember, like there's no time frames, but you're basically sending an enemy away. Um, and once again, you're also going against their spellcast roll. So I don't know, maybe up to far might be a little bit, but very far. Maybe you have it where it's like up to far range, so they don't go from far to very far. So say it's like they can move 1 range away up to far range, and like instead of this close to far, um, yeah, because very far is like get the hell away from me and never come back on the map. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. Um, cool. Shared trauma. Once per short rest, you can redistribute any marked hit points between 2 willing targets that you touch. I like this. I actually really like this type of ability. I think shared trauma you bring down to 2, and then you bring Siphon Essence up to 3. I think you make that switch, and it's like super solid. I think the power level's better there. Because they're both once per short rest. One is a redistribution amongst yourself. The Siphon Essence is a distribution between you and an enemy. I think that holds more value than redistributing hit points amongst allies. Maybe my opinion. I might be a little off, but I think those two can switch in terms of like power feel. Um, once again, going off of vibes and experience at the table, playing with like level 1 through 10 at this point. Level 10 is when I think is going to be like the hardest thing to balance, and that's just of every single game. In a different stream the other day, we were talking about how someone really likes to play support warlocks. It's very hard in 5e. Yes, I think that this is a really good way to do a support warlock. The shared trauma. Yeah, I like that. Let's go through 4s. What else do we have? Invisibility is another level 3 ability. Yeah. So I think the other 3s are on par. Withering Affliction, make a spellcast roll against a target with far range. On a success, spend a hope to make the target temporarily withered. While withered, any damage they deal is reduced by 1 hit point. You can only hold this spell on 1 creature at a time. Okay. Just because I want to look at the withered condition. in the Witherwild. Yeah, that's I think the issue here. What's up? You know what, Jeremy? I know that that's your name because we've had conversations before. I don't know how to say this word. How do you break down the pronunciation of your word for your name? Sick Sickety Wicked? Sickety Wicked? I think that sounds right. Sickety Wicked. If I said that right, just tell me if I said it right. Um Anyways, withering affliction. This condition for temporarily withered needs to change only because we have a withered condition within the wither wilds. If you're playing in a withered wild campaign, that would be confusing. Can really be anything. They can do whatever they want. Call it whatever you want, but can't call it withered because we have a precedent of this. And sick it e wicked. Okay, I think I said it right. Sickety. Okay, cool. um, Yeah, because this one, anytime a PC takes severe damage in the with a withered adversary, they must roll a fear die. If they roll below equal or below the number of withered tokens, they immediately gain a scar and clear all tokens in the Witherwild. That cannot be any damage they deal is reduced by 1 hit point. Withering Affliction just needs to change. In terms of the balance of this, you can hold one spell on this creature at a time. I think this is pretty good. Afflicted might be another good one. Good way to word it. Yeah, Afflicted's probably a better alternative. Good call. I think this is balanced in comparison to Through Your Eyes. I think it kind of fills the same power level in Soothing Speech. So Soothing Speech is going to, um, maybe this is a little strong for 4 because reducing every time by damage. So that means so we're thinking about this mechanically. If you are withered, if an enemy is withered, um, their damage is reduced by 1 hit point, which is basically giving every player, oops, just hit my mic, which is basically giving every player a free armor slot per attack until the conditions ended. So it's temporary, but I can see this being fairly balanced for what it is. Okay, I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna critique too much. Actually, I think this is good. I think this is fine. Summon horror, and once again, this is my opinion. Disagree with me if you want. Tell me I'm wrong. I like being told I'm wrong because then it gives me feedback on how to understand things better and how other people feel. Summon horror sounds cool. Can't wait for the art. I think this art would look really, really sick. All of this art is gonna look so sick when it comes out. But make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. On a success, spend a hope to call forth a large fiend or otherworldly creature to attack them and deal D10 magic damage using proficiency. The target must make a reaction roll to steal themselves from the horror. On a failure, they deal 1d4 stress. After making the attack, the horror dissipates. I would much rather this dealing 1d4 stress, maybe tied to tears, maybe. Because 4 stress at tier 1's a lot. But 4 stress at tier 4 is also a lot. I don't know. I like this idea of this. It's tied to a reaction roll. I'll take it back. This is fine. Must making a reaction roll of 12 at high tiers. This doesn't matter nearly as much. But this is good. I like this. I like the idea of the summoned horror. I think Warlock should definitely be able to do that. Okay. Spectral Mist. Okay, Spectral Mist is... We have Thought Delver and Words of Discord are the 2 grace cards that we're comparing it to. Make a spellcast roll. On a success, spend a hope to create an eerie mist that gathers around you and your targets within close range. All affected creatures are momentarily incorporeal, allowing them to move through a solid wall. This effect lasts until you have passed through the wall successfully. There is a feature that is part of... I want to see... I think it's a level 5. Shape Material. Spend a hope to shape the section of natural material you're touching stone one. Okay, this is very on par to a Splendor Domain shape material. I think this is fair. This is reasonable based on what we already have in the game. No issue with Spectral Mist. Spend a hope. Spectral Mist is actually a little worse, kind of. No, I mean, it has a downside. It's a spellcast roll. This one just requires spending a hope. So it's equal trade. But yeah, it's basically pass wall. Fair. halfway through the game. This is your equivalent to level 10 in D&D. Level 10 with pass wall, I think, is reasonable. Is level? I don't know what level pass wall is. It doesn't really matter. I'm not playing that system. Dire Strike, spend a hope to summon pure dark energy that consumes your weapon until the next rest. When you make an attack in melee range with this weapon, use your spellcast trait instead of the trait it calls for. On a success, roll a number of d8 equal to your current number of fear the GM has to your level. Has up to your level. Oh, up to your level. And deal that much damage as your adversary feels cold terror seep into their wound. If you have a success with fear, you must target the target must also mark a stress. I do like this idea of whenever you roll with fear, you are supplementing some of the adverse results. I think that's a really great balance mechanic. Spectral Mist is almost the exact same as Codex's Book of Hamet. So that would be blue. I'm going the wrong way. Book of Hamet. Yeah. Though with Book of Hamet, you do gain Plane Gate. So really Book of Hamet you want for Plane Gate, and then Pass Through is just the kind of a cherry on top for that level 7 card. So Dire Strike is okay. It's extra damage, so works really well if you're playing that frontline Warlock. Cool. Nothing crazy. I think this might either need to be bumped up a little bit, or just bumped up in terms of like how much damage it does, or bring it down a domain, maybe. Bring it to level 4. I think Dire Strike isn't crazy. Nether Flames. Make a spellcast roll against all adversaries within close range. You can spend a hope. For any you succeed. They must make a reaction roll. 14. On a failure, they take d8 plus 6 using your proficiency, and they are engulfed with dark fire. On a success, they take half damage. So this is just centralized fireball. You can spend a hope on any you succeed. Man, that's a lot of hope, though. Like, say you're sworn by, like, 4 adversaries. That's 4 hope to be able to fireball, right? Yeah. It's okay. The GM, yes, Chris, the GM can store 12 fear tokens. So Dire Strike does. So with that note, Dire Strike would deal more damage at the beginning of a fight if your GM pools. Which the dread. Ooh, okay, that's actually a lot of damage. It's potentially a lot of damage. Weaker at the end of a fight, but a lot of damn damage at the beginning. 12d8's a lot. I think 5 is reasonable then. Maybe at then. Maybe even needs to be bumped up. Okay. Yeah, Dread is all about, like... I don't know if Dread's necessarily all about wanting to roll with fear, but Dread is about mitigating what happens with fear. In Ferris, let me see. In Ferris allows you to... In Ferris is when you mark, or when you roll with fear, you can mark 2 stress to make it a roll with hope instead. So it would be 5 damage at the time of getting the card. Yeah, that would be a lot of damage by the time you get there with the D12s. That being said, as a GM, I have been playing with the variant rule set for at least now 6 months. I've probably been playing it since October. More so because I was like, why wait? That we already know how the system's going to work. But I've been playing with my max of 12 fear. I almost never max out on fear. There's just way too many opportunities for me to use fear to manipulate the story, manipulate the combat, that I don't think I hit 12 fear. That being said, I did hit 12 fear on my play-by-post game, which Sickety Wicked, you were in, because I made a mistake. and I forgot that I should be using fear, and I just noticed that I was at max when I was counting it up. So I don't hit it very often. Nether Flame, I agree, is weird. I don't really like everything about it. Because it's a spellcast roll. Yeah, it's a spellcast roll and a reaction. It's just kind of weird. And it costs a hope. This is actually bad. Yeah, like now that you pointed out, this is actually pretty not great. Nether Flame's not good. Sickety Wicked, yes. You are currently now paying for it, but in the current game right now, you guys are rolling really well, and so I can't do anything right now. So, anyways, Nether Flame I don't think is really strong, especially when you compare it against Never Upstaged, which is really fun, and Share the Burden, which is also some of my favorite cards. I'm just gonna I can just do this. Share the Burden, one of the like really great card arts. I really like this art. Just this card art. Open up a new tab. Yeah, I really love this art. Like, look at this art. Oh, low quality because I zoom, but really love that art. Or matte. Okay. Wailing Leap. Whenever you deal magic damage to a target, you can mark a stress to immediately teleport into melee with a creature. You make the attack roll, mark a stress. I like it. Not crazy, but I like it. All right, Dread Touched. I like the touched abilities. Let's see if it's as good as I hope it. As good as I hope it is. Win 4 or more of the domain are Dread. You get the following benefits. If you succeed with Fear, you can mark 2 stress to keep the GM from gaining a Fear. Really good. Maybe, maybe a little high, but great. Anything as a player you can do to stop your GM from gaining a Fear is great. So, once per short rest, when you make an action roll, you can add a +1 bonus to the roll for each fear token the GM has stored. Also, really great. Oh, hold on. The theme that I'm seeing here with being able to like stack the fear the GM has against you, given the fact that the fear is, or the GM is basically going to be playing your patron, you're basically taking like the story that I'm starting to see with like how you level up in this game is with the Dread domain, you are kind of starting to get a one up on your patron. Like that first, your patron kind of like harms a little bit and like is kind of like a like harms you a little bit, right? It's like you're kind of like learning, but then as you level up, you get to use what you've been giving to your patron against them, which is a GM. Okay, I really like that toss back and forth. On a short rest, I think is good. Honestly, I think they should rework Dread Touch. I think they should make Dread Touch the hope feature, the 3 hope feature. This once per short rest. Make the action roll. You can add a +1 bonus to each roll for each fear token the GM has. Because you're getting the Warlock patron assistance, but it's based on how strong the Warlock patron is at the moment. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm overcooking here. maybe I'm thinking too much. Maybe that's bad. Someone tell me that's bad, so I can keep. I'm just gonna keep moving. Wall of Hunger. Make a spellcast roll 13. At level 7, that's pretty low. On a success, you can create a visible wall of writhing necrotic energy in between 2 points within far range. This lasts until you mark your next hit point. Any creatures that are in a wall within it appear or pass through, mark 2 stress, and they must make a reaction roll or be temporarily restrained by the wall. Solid, pretty decent, nothing crazy. But the act of crying and wailing does not compute. There is a point of using Dread Touch if you... There's no point. Yeah, I would say that there might... Yeah, Prince, there might not be... The most common, now I don't, maybe this is the most common statistically, but at least is how I felt. I felt like when I was playing 5e, I ran into a lot of tiefling warlocks. I feel like Inferis warlocks aren't great here, which is sad a little bit. It does, though, I will say, it does give you flexibility on whether you want to spend that fear or that 2 stress for the fear. Because remember, it's still a resource. You're as an Inferis, you have the flexibility of saying, no, I need that hope now, or no, I don't want to give you that hope. Hope being the most powerful resource in the game. Someone convince me. If someone tries to convince me otherwise, I will disagree with you. So, all right. We're almost at the end of this domain deck. I've been going for an hour. I want to get into the fighter, and I want to build a fighter. A level 1 fighter, because that's the level I'm playing this weekend. But Dark Army, make a spellcast roll 14. On a once per short rest, you successfully summon. You mark what am I trying to say? Once per rest, on a success, you mark a stress to summon a group of 8 fiends within close range that move with you. Place a d8 on this card and set it to 8, representing the size of your army. This is already really sick. Whenever you deal damage to a target within close range, decrease the value by 1 to deal an additional 1d8 physical damage. When you take the damage, you can decrease the value by 1 or reduce the damage by 1d8 each time the die is decreased. The fiends act on your behalf, then disappear. When the die value would be reduced to 1, return this card to your vault. This is just cool. Dark Army is a cool ability. It might not be the strongest, arguably, but this is just cool. And I do like being able to summon at higher level. Me personally, this is just me. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this because I know Summoner is a very popular build. Well, maybe I don't have that way in Daggerheart. I don't like summons in 5e and traditional D20 systems because they are so take up so much damn time. This gives you the power fantasy of summons without giving you all the like mechanical slog. This is really good and really strong. I arguably would say bring this down a tier. I want to see more dark armies. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think we need to wait till tier 4 to have a dark army, or maybe even have like dark army scale. Like maybe we bring dark army as I already don't like. There's one of these that I don't really care much for. Maybe it's Umbervale. One of these I don't really care for. Like one of these level 2. What was the one I really didn't care much for? Can't remember now. You're an ally with a close range, take damage. Maybe it's this one. I didn't really like Hideous Distribution. Bring Dark Army down and then make it scale where it's like you start at a D4. Then when you hit tier 3, you get a D, goes to a D6. When you hit tier 4, jumps to a D8. So your Dark Army is like building. I think that would be sick. Bring Dark Army down. Like, it's a lot of text on the card, mind you, so I see why. But yeah, dude, I want to see Dark Army at like low level. Like, I want to see like a couple, like you have a small little group and your group's just growing and you get more powerful. Like, give me the, for those who've seen it, give me the solo leveling. Give me Sun Jin Woo. Like, show me like the start of his arc. Like, I'm totally down for Dark Army. I really like it, but I want Dark Army like lower because like this is just too fun. Like, this is just a fun ability. They did a really good job of like building the summoning. But yeah, dude, we need to get more Dark Army. We need Dark Army at a lower level. Hashtag Dark Army level 2. I really like this ability. I think this is by far my favorite ability that we've seen of the Warlock. Dark Army solid. Hashtag Dark Army. Okay, let's move on to the other one. Eldritch Flash. You embody the darkness. You have dallied with you? Sure. I don't know what that word means. Dallied. Okay, I'm just gonna look at it. Dallied. Actor moves slowly. Or to have a casual romance with or sexual liaison with. Could be that. You embody the darkness. You have dallied while this card is active in your loadout. So stupid. English and multiple definitions for every to indulge yourself with. That's oh yeah, let's you have dillied your last dally. Um Ryloman, just because I'm seeing this, I'm a fan of the Necromancer class in concept. I hate how other games do Necromancer. Like, I love the idea of the army, but I don't love the idea of slowing the game to where you're playing like D&D by yourself, which is why I love how Dark Army works, because it makes sense. Um, yeah, I really like how Dark Army works. I think this makes sense for having the game, still having your group, your posse with you, but not making it where you're playing like 8 characters. Like that's like the worst feeling as a GM. It's like you like when the like with summoners and like others and other systems like D&D, like the worst possible feeling um is when what's it called? The worst possible feeling is like when a player has more NPCs to control than the GM. Like that's like I always feel bad taking my sweet time in like a in an initiative system or like a D&D system, but man, like it feels bad when I'm also working with somebody else who's basically GMing their group. So anyways, that's all I'll say. Eldritch Flex, let's get through this. Let's keep moving. I want to get to the end of this to get to fighter. um for every 2 stress you have, Mark, increase your damage threshold by 1. Okay, pretty okay. That's a little bit of a buff. Whenever you succeed with fear on an action roll, you can spend a hope to clear an armor slot. Ooh, okay. I can dig this. I like it. I like it. Sickety Wicked. I also have PTSD from when I had a summoner druid and I said, "What the hell did you just bring? Why are there 8 wolves on the field? I don't know how to deal with this." As a moderately new GM, I think I was like maybe like 2 or 3 years into GMing at that time. I'm like, I don't know how to deal with the summoner, the way of the shepherd druid, or what is it? Circle of the Shepherd druid. Gosh, man, that was like so hard to play. Damnation. Make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. On a success, mark 3 hope and roll a number of d20s equal to your spellcasting trait, dealing that much damage to them. If this damage is enough to defeat or destroy a creature, all adversaries within far range mark a stress. Okay, hold on. That's this is disintegrate. This is the equivalent to a disintegrate in from 5e. I like this. I'm down. This is damnation basically is Mark, well, remember, Mark 3 stress works in combination with Eldritch Flesh. Um, for every 2 stress you mark, you increase your damage threshold. Like stress is one of these things that like I find at high level. So from experience, players when you get to the high level play, so 8, 9, 10, um, there's a lot of ways to clear stress, but there are also a lot of ways to take on stress. Stress becomes a resource at the high level play, which you're like, I'm gonna make this. It's like I'm gonna basically bump my stress up, and the combats become like super swingy. The GM rolls with advantage because you're permanently vulnerable. You roll with advantage because the GM's monsters are also permanently vulnerable. Like we have like big swings. Like you're hitting like I remember Sickety Wicked in one campaign, like we hit like level 10 and we were hitting like 20, 27, 20 or 30s like fairly consistently, while the GM on the other side, I'm also swinging really hard too with like my 20s. And so it becomes this like game at higher level where everyone's just swinging hard. And that's one thing I really like about this system. It doesn't feel like you ever have any wasted turns because at high level, like everyone's swinging about the same, like, or everyone's swinging the same amount, but everyone's swinging just harder. So it's like big hit versus big hit. It very much feels like in an anime when everyone's like reached a certain power level, you're still like it's still Goku fighting Vegeta, but now they're both stronger kind of deal. It's still like you very much see the if anybody watch Pokemon, you see like the level of Froakie leveling up, and then now it's like Ash Greninja fighting Charizard, which once again, and this is my opinion. Anybody who's a Pokemon fan, Ash Greninja should have definitely taken out Elaine's Mega Charizard. I don't know how that ended up being a thing, but that's me on another side tangent with Pokemon, just because I really love Pokemon. Um, but Ash Greninja should have won. Like, but you see these like big hits, like you see the growth, and then everyone's just like doing like Mega Z moves, whatever the hell um, you want to call it. But yeah, I really like that. And now, yes, Jeremy, when we played in the high level campaign, Sickety Wicked, we still had to do all the reverse math and subtraction because of how armor worked. But now armor's just like, I'm gonna reduce that by one threshold. Easy. So yeah. But yeah, Prince, everyone fully stressed out is basically like a scene in an action movie. You have the people on one side sitting, like guns a blazing, and then like taking a second to take a breath. Everyone's like, yeah, it becomes really fun at high level. So yeah, I have no issue with marking 3 stress because once again, you also probably have features like a bard or a renewal druid who's able to reduce your stress, or even like a guardian and seraph. They can do the same thing. So. Sickety Wicked with Elaine winning was pretty rough. Anyways, yeah, I agree. That was bad. All right, let's look at the other level 9 because I really like Damnation. Savor the Anguish. Whenever a creature within close range marks any number of stress or takes severe damage, you can spend a hope to clear a stress or clear a fear that the GM holds. These are so good. Like, we were like, honestly, we were kind of probably struggling a little bit with like the lower end dread domains cards, but this high end of dread domain is super good. Yeah, potion of stamina, another thing that you just chug in and you clear your stamina. These are really good high end cards, and I say that because I do think some of the other high end cards and other of the other there's one that I really don't care much for. um I don't know where it's at. I'm not going to look through it because I don't want to spend that much time doing that. But I really like these high-end cards. I haven't even hit 10 yet. Um, so 10, we're comparing Encore and Notorious. These are both really good Grace cards, so they have a lot to compete with. Let's see how they do. Invoke Torment. When you deal damage to a creature that has all of its stress marks, so a creature that's already vulnerable, you deal double damage. If it defeats them, you clear a stress. If it doesn't, they're permanently vulnerable. The GM cannot clear. This is so good. Dealing double damage on max stress. These are solid cards. Like you fight here's the thing. At level 10, you're fighting like ancient dragons, you're fighting eldritch abominations, you're fighting giant lords. Like you are fighting the pinnacle of fights, and to be able to like hold like an ability or hold like a card in your hand just to deal double damage to them at the very end, that's so much fun. I'm really hyped for this. But low level dread, it is one of those things I think similar to Wizard, but Wizard does a lot better job of it. um where low level is very kind of like whelming. It's good, it's fun, it's decent, it's not bad. Like levels 1, 2, 3 so far for dread are kind of okay. But um but at level 10, to permanently, like, you're at level 10, you're fighting gods at this point, like to fight an eldritch abomination, and make them permanently vulnerable. Here's the thing: when you invoke torment, you are not letting them live. They should not live being able to deal double damage, especially if you do like invoke torment. um what's another one? Dire Strike could also be a possibility too, or Nether Flame, or some of these other ones, like what's another one here? Siphon Essence. Like, there are some of these abilities that you can totally do at low level. Like, could you imagine, like, just and I'm gonna stand up because I need to get a little bit more into this a little bit, because I'm been sitting and I'm like getting jittery. Could you imagine like going into the fight? You're at the tail end of the fight. You finally matched out uh, Orzgabad, the Eldritch Horror, and you invoke Torment while also using your Siphon Essence that you got at level 2. You siphon their essence, and it's like, what's it called? What's the one where they eat the souls? Is that Seven Deadly Sins? There's another one that I feel like they eat the souls of like whatever they kill. Majin Buu. Like, could you imagine like a good guy Majin Buu like killing the Eldritch Horror and then just like Kirby sucking um the bad guy with and finishing him off with a siphon essence. That would be sick. And then like he comes off like unscathed because their hit points are like higher. I really like. Wow, they did such a good job on the high end. Soul Eater, yeah, basically you're just soul eatering them. Soul eatering. Anyways, okay. Let's finish this off with Avatar Malice. Let's see how well they do in Avatar Malice. You can mark a stress to transform into an Avatar of Malice, gaining the following benefits. All adversaries and close friends must spend an additional fear when using a fear feature. Screw you. Screw you, Warlock. Because that's so strong. When you defeat a creature within close range, you absorb their life essence and clear hit points. Okay, so you just get Majin Buu for free. And then you mark a stress to teleport to a location within very far range. Every time you make an action roll in this form, you must spend a hope if you can't drop this form. Ooh, okay. I was for it until the very end. So I have to think about this like whenever I'm thinking and playing Daggerheart and like looking and reviewing these classes, I have to think about this from the perspective of the story. I think if you have Avatar of Malice, you now like because at the very beginning, like let's think about like how you are playing your warlock at the beginning. If it is weak, if it's intended to have a very weak beginning start, and then at the very end, um, being incredibly strong. I think I'm okay with this narratively because you have to think about the fact that the Guardian is a really strong class at the very beginning. It's probably the strongest class in tier one. Definitely the strong actually I'm gonna say this. Guardian is definitely the strongest class at tier one. It's not even a question, not even close. Strongest class at tier one. Tier two and tier three still solid. But then at tier four, I think a lot of the other classes start to overtake the Guardian. Imagine the narrative of the Guardian always protecting the Warlock as they're adventuring, and as they get up to this higher level, you have the Guardian or even the Seraph who uses like a soldier's bond. I think actually that would be a warrior because I think soldier's bond is a warrior card, right? Let me see. I have it here. Yeah, soldier's bond is a blade domain. So a warrior, like the two people that are like some of the two classes that are honestly probably really strong at the lower tiers, um, just soldiers bonding to fuel the Avatar of Malice. Like that's such a cool narrative flavor that I think would be really great to see. So Dread Domain, I think is okay. I think there are some tweaks. We've went over it. I'm gonna make it one of these characters, but not probably not today because I do want to go into the fighter. Um, in terms of packs and subclass, Endless is great. Wrathful needs work because actually either Wrathful needs to change or the Warlock's favor system needs to change. Overall impressions of the Warlock are fun Dread Domain. I actually like the Dread Domain overall. I think Avatar of Malice is maybe a little bit weaker. Avatar. So to go to Chris's comment, Avatar of Malice is definitely weaker than Invoke Torment. Though Invoke Torment is basically there's a lot that needs to be done to use it. Avatar of Malice allows you to use it up front. Um, but going back to what I was trying to say a second ago, Path of the Wrathful needs a little bit of work because it's dependent on the favor system, and the favor system is very difficult to utilize with how much favor it uses. Path of the Endless is a lot of fun because it doesn't rely as much on favor, or it's not as detrimental when you use favor, versus Path of the Wrathful being very detrimental. Like you get a lot of negatives for using favor, and but that's also supplemented with the fact that favor is hard to regen. If you use all your favor, even at a long rest, you still can't get 5 favor. Like even if you rest, and with that favor also, if you don't offer, the GM gets a fear. So yeah, I just think this is odd. I think what might be better for if you choose not to offer a tithe, maybe you mark 2 stress, right? Like there, I think the narrative is there that something bad happens, but don't give the GM the resource. Maybe I don't know. I just I don't love this. I don't love favor. Anyways. All right. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to end the Warlock section and jump into the Fighter. So, Fighter shares the Bone and the Valor domain. For two very different domains, and that's not the combination I was expecting. So Bone here, and then Valor, where's it at? Towards the end, is the Guardian Seraph domain. Okay, noted. I think that makes sense because you have to give Fighter bare bones, and then being able to dodge with how dodgy the Bone domain is. Okay. All right. Let's look at Fighter. I'm going to look at it base, and then we're going to create a sheet. Starting evasion 11, a little higher. Staggering strike, spend a hope when you hit an adversary to deal them a stress, and temporarily stagger them. While staggered, attack rolls they make are with disadvantage. Much better than the Warlock in terms of a hope ability. Playable, usable. I'm okay with this. I am the weapon. Let me zoom this in because I'm not having trouble reading this. So you guys almost be having trouble reading this if I can't read this. While you don't have any weapons equipped, your evasion is a +1. Your unarmed strike are considered a melee weapon, and use the trait of your choice. That I was not expecting. I was not expecting that use the trait of your choice. Interesting. Very DC-20. For those who have played DC-20, this is basically is it the true? I can't remember what it's called. True. I don't know. True domain. True ability. It's something like that. And then your damage is a D10 plus your tier. Nothing crazy. Combo strikes: D4, D6, D8, D10. After making a damage roll with a melee weapon, but before dealing damage to a target, mark a stress to start a combo strike. Okay, requires stress. When you do, instead of a key point, when you do, roll a combo die. Note the value. Then roll another combo die. If the value of the second die is greater to your first combo die, continue rolling additional dice until the latest combo die's value is less than the roll preceding it. Total all the damage and add the value to your weapon damage. Your combos die starts at 4. When you level up, once per tier, you may mark one of your advancement options to increase your combo die instead. Okay. Yes, exploding dice. So this is basically exploding dice. Ooh, I got a subscriber. Welcome, Ferret. I don't get notified of all subscribers, but I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to be doing these a lot more because I really like talking to you all about this game. It's just so much fun. And I'm already like talking to myself, so I might as well bring everyone along with me. So combo dice starts at D4. When you level up, you can add it. So let's see. They do suggest instinct as your trait. Quarterstaff to start makes sense. It's an instinct melee weapon. It also then kind of denotes like why would you ever, if you can use any die, why would you ever make? Oh, because if you don't have equipped weapons, your evasion's a +1. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, why the hell would you just not pick any weapon? The +1 evasion is the bonus. Quarterstaff, instinct melee. In case you do want to use a weapon, don't see reason why you would. You're losing out on 3 damage, which is negligible. Well, thresholds are a little lower. At higher level, it's negligible. Suggested armor, leather armor, so you get extra. Wait, leather? Oh, because they're not coming into the assumption you're taking bare bones. I would immediately take bare bones. There's never a reason to not take bare bones. Okay. Character description. Let's look at the questions, and then we'll build a character out here. So, level 1 character. I'm not going to go all the way to 10 because we already kind of know what's in bone. We already know what's in. We know what's in bone. We know what's in valor. Like, we know what all this stuff is. Well, we might not because it's new. I'll go over maybe like the other stuff in another video. But let's look at background questions. Where did you spend time during your formative years that taught you directly or indirectly how to fight in the style that you used? Okay. Noted. What group or organization has always had your back, and how did you get in their good graces? Okay. Who did you lose to long ago that you were desperate for a rematch? Like it. This very much screams Pokemon for some reason for me. Okay, what is one thing we're both afraid of? Fairly simple. I rely on you. This is a misprint. I rely on you for something important during our travels together. What is it, and how do you feel about it? Oh, this would totally be like non-charismatic, no presence fighter is how I'd play this immediately. I still haven't forgotten, or I still haven't forgiven you for something you said to me. What was it, and what did you say, or why did you say it? Oh, gotcha. Okay, you have something you said. Okay, so this, since these are curated, they should have the combo strikes in here. They should. They don't, but they should. They should definitely have combo strikes added as an option because these are curated sheets. If these were a generic sheet, doesn't matter. It's a generic sheet. You just have to remember. But if it's a curated sheet, these should be added into this list. That's all I'll say. Nothing crazy. Martial artist form. I'll go over this in a second, and I'm going to skip to the last page because we're going to go over what exactly each of them do. Because the martial artist form you only get for one subclass. You basically get stances, which I'm interested to see. So, two options are Juggernaut, gain a permanent +3 to your severe threshold, and then on a successful attack, you can spend a hope to force that target to mark a stress. Nothing crazy, nothing amaze balls here. Powerhouse, increase your damage dice for your unarmed attacks to a d12. Cool. Eye for an eye. When you mark more than one hit point from an attack in melee range, the attacker must make a reaction roll 14. On a failure, once per long rest, immediately mark the same number of hit points in return. This is weak. Why? Because we already get that from Guardian. No, not Guardian. Is it? Let me see. Is it Guardian? Yeah, I think it's a Guardian feature. Hold on. Looking at the book. Vengeance Guardian. When an adversary within melee range succeeds on attack against you, you can mark 2 stress. So, the only reason this is weak is because a reaction roll. This is mathematically, this is like just a little bit higher than 50%. So we're looking at roughly 60% of the time this is going to work. Vengeance Guardian is 100% of the time because you're marking a stress to mark the hit point back. It's only 1 hit point from the Guardian, okay? So that's the other difference. But it's limited to a stress. So you can do it basically, for the most part, on average, 3 times per rest, where the Guardian, it's basically every single time you attack for Juggernaut. This isn't that bad. I do think the reaction roll should be based off one of your skill values. But I know why they made it a flat 14, because if they make it anything that's not a flat 14, then, like, say you tie it to strength. So maybe it's like 10 plus your strength score. Now you're forcing your, what's it called? Now you're forcing your Juggernaut to be a strength-based character, which is not what they want based off of it being any ability score that you want. You should allow Counter-Strike instead on challenging the adversary's fixed DC. Well, I could see that, but then that really makes it rough for. But then the burden of the attack is they are making a DC against their own DC, which feels weird. It's not necessarily like a bad way to resolve it, because I think it's an okay way to resolve it. I just think it feels weird because they're invoking their own reaction. Maybe no, maybe I'm a little off base. Maybe it doesn't necessarily feel weird. I don't think this is that bad. I think this is okay. I think maybe the reaction roll could be jumped up because you're getting this at level 5 because your specialization only unlocks at 5. I think you make this 15 though. I think 15 increases the number odds, makes it just over 60%. Because at 14, this only works just like at 55-ish percent if I'm doing the math correctly, and I'm just doing general estimates. Okay, so Juggernaut Mastery. We'll continue. Whenever you roll a successful critical success on a weapon attack against an adversary in melee range, you gain an additional hope, clear an additional stress, and add +1 to proficiency for the attack. Super crits. This is how do we call this? This is champion, right? This is a champion fighter. Like basically kind of what we're looking at. With no action tokens, etc., and freeform combat, then I'm not sure how much point would be for counterattack in that way. Player could describe they do that in their next action. I guess that's also fair. Yeah. I'm going to continue reading Juggernaut. Not done yet. When you mark more than 1 HP from an attack, you may gain a hope or clear a stress. Juggernaut, okay, and this is actually fine. I honestly think Juggernaut is actually a pretty good or subclass because it's okay to have a very simple subclass. For ease of access and barrier to entry, Juggernaut Fighter would be a very good class to give to a beginner. A lot of times, the beginner just wants to be a puncher. I see a lot of like first-time players, at least with younger kids, students that I have. A lot of them gravitate towards monk. At least my demographic. So I think having a very simple one, like it's kind of having your option between like the D&D fighter. You have the champion and you have the battle master, which is what we're about to get into because the stances are actually kind of a lot similar to maneuvers. But I think this is okay. It's not great, but this is meant to be a kind of a more simple class. I think maybe instead of fighter, they call this brawler. I think brawler might be a better word because we have warrior. Fighter and warrior contain the same demographic. I think brawler might be a better word because people know to an extent what a brawl is. I think I feel good about saying brawler. So, but yeah. What's up, Knife? I don't think I've seen you in the chat. What's up? What's up? We're just talking through this and then building a character that I'm going to be playing this weekend. Ass kicker class. Yes. Bring it to every beginner. Would you like to play an ass kicker? Okay. Martial artist. This is gonna be your monk. This is gonna be your fighter, like your normal, like standard, like key based, I assume, because I see the word focus, which is now what they call skitty pop pop. Also, I'm just gonna show this real quick so I have it available. I have a wired headset, so I have to talk weird. But for anybody who doesn't know, I'm gonna switch. I just like seeing this, especially now that we're talking about monk. Where's this one? Okay. This is my binder. This is my master set for universes. I'm just going to show this a little bit. Oh, I'm going to turn that off so that way it's not glaring as much. There is a card in here that's very monk and a call to homage. Also, this is called universes. This is critical roles like Heroes of Exandria stuff. Stay with me. I'm going to go back to the Daggerheart in a second. I just want to show, now that we're talking about monks and stuff. Flurry of bows. Come on, focus. 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 Please focus. It's not going to focus, is it? Okay. Oh, what the heck is going on with this camera? No? Not going to focus? Even if I do this? Nothing. Okay. This is Beauregard. The card is not called Flurry of Blows. It's called Flurry of Bows. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say. That's probably like the worst side tag. So let's just jump back into the other stuff. Martial artist. Martial form. Take the martial form sheet, which we are going to scroll up in a little bit. You start with 2 martial stances at tier 1. When you reach a new tier, take 2 additional stances at your tier or lower. Mark a stress to place a number of focus tokens on this card. Spend focus to activate or shift into a different stance. This lasts until you mark your last hit point. You take severe damage, or the scene ends, or you shift to another stance. Cool. Not crazy. Yeah, I think I do have manual focus set up on the camera, which is fine, but I don't think I do. I'm using my iPhone for my top-down camera today. I usually use that for my like front-facing, but I swapped that today. So let's take a look at some of these forms. This makes sense. Nothing too crazy here. Focus is just a shift or form shifter. So we get 2 stances: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Tier 1, brutal. When you roll a maximum value on a die, roll an additional damage die. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage unless the adversary marks a stress. Okay. Grappling. Successful attack, you can make spend a focus to make them temporarily restrained. I like that. Gain -1 penalty to your evasion. When you deal damage on a successful attack, roll an additional damage die. Drop the lowest. Oh, it's just more consistent, but I don't love this type of grab one, drop the lowest. +1 to your attack rolls for precise and quick. When making an attack roll, spend a focus to include an additional target within range. I do like that. Some of these are just options. I don't think there's anything wrong with these options. I think they feel fairly tier 1-y. Tier 2, deadly. When you deal severe damage, the target marks an additional HP. On a successful attack, you spend a focus to make the target temporarily hindered. While hindered, their attack rolls have a -2 penalty. Okay, I like hindered. This isn't bad. When you make a successful attack, roll a d4. On a 4, gain a focus. 25% of the time, I guess you are making attacks moderately often, but 25% of the time is pretty low. Yeah, I would say just at this point, just roll duality, make a reaction roll and take fit, or just make it. What if you roll with hope, roll with fear? Or if you roll with hope, gain a focus. I think that's more balanced. Unmovable, gain a +2 to your damage threshold, and you cannot be moved willingly. Pretty good. Nimble. When an adversary makes a successful attack against you, you can spend a number of focus up to your tier to roll a number of d6 equal to 1 plus the focus spent. If any dice values match, take no damage. Interesting. Otherworldly. You can choose to do physical or magical damage. Not bad. Scary. Successful attacks also force a target to mark a stress. I think this and hindering are the strongest. Actually, I lied. Or deadly. Especially with combos. Actually, deadly is the strongest. It's not even close. Ability to possibly deal 4 damage with combo strikes. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, hold on. Okay, think about this. Amali Kaida, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you yet, but yeah, I'm glad. I immediately knew I was gonna sleeve my binders like a year ago, when I was doing like a math count on the cards. So I'm glad that they're here. I even went a little bit of above and beyond, not really above and beyond, but I have the cards. My normal ones are in clear sleeves, but the domains, I know some of you who already seen that, I color coded to whatever the color is on their card. So Arcana is purple, red is for blade, stuff like that. So deadly plus scary at tier 2 means you can mark 5 HP. Oh, yeah, theoretically you could. Yeah, you could theoretically do that if they're marked full stress. But at that point, if you've already marked them vulnerable, how are they still standing at that point to be able to deal that 5 damage? Okay, let's go to 3, because I want to kind of run this and actually build a character, because I realize I'm going for a while, and I do want to stop at some point. Deflecting. When you are targeted by an attack, you can spend 2 focus to gain a bonus to your evasion score equal to your armor score against the attack. Bonus to your evasion equal to your armor score. Okay. At base, it's at least a plus. At tier 3, at base, you at least have a +5. Unless you have magic items, which you likely will at that point. Devastating. Spend a focus before your attack to use d20s as your damage die instead. Solid. High variance. Like, if you roll a 18 right off the bat, you're exploding immediately. Devastating could be good, but high variance because it's linear. It's same odds. Okay, dueling. Gain advantage on attack rolls when there are no other adversaries or allies in very close range of you on your target. Easy. That's fair. Solo tanking. Compound. When you roll the maximum value on a combo die, increase the size of the subsequent combo die for your attack. You roll max on a combo die. Increase the size of the subsequent combo dice. You roll for your attack. Ooh. Compounding's really solid. Compounding's really good. All right. Inexuberable. Attacks against you have disadvantage if you have more than 2 adversaries within melee range. I like that defensive option. Favor. Add the trait of your choice to your damage roll. Doesn't matter at this point. Like, I feel like favored should be dropped to tier 2. Like, that's not great at this high of a level at this point. You're level 5 at max or at minimum. Sheltering. When you mark an armor slot, it reduces the damage for you and your allies within melee range who took the same damage. I like this. I like sheltering. Makes you a tanky boy. All right. Tier 4. These are the big ones. Crushing. When you roll a 1 on the damage die, it can be treated as the highest value of the die instead. Don't you want to get compounding higher? Unless you do crushing compounding. Be good. Infuriating. On a successful attack, the target becomes furious. While furious, they are vulnerable and have a -2 penalty to the rolls. You can clear furious, or they can clear furious by attacking on an attack roll against you. Compounding. It's not as strong as it looks. The dice listed increased by 2 faces, so if you roll an 8 on a d8, you only have a 30% chance of continuing the attack. Crushing is the damage die, not the combo die. Oh. Is the combo not damage? Let's read that again. After making a damage roll within a weapon, but before dealing damage, mark a stress to start a combo strike. When you do, roll a combo die and note its value. Then roll another combo. In addition, equal to or greater than their first die. Continue rolling additional dice until the latest combo die's value is less. Total all the rolled combo dice and add the value to your weapon's damage. Combo die and damage are the same. Do I not understand that correctly? Oh, your combo die. Your damage die is a d10 at base. So if you do want to combo, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So, spend a focus for your attack. Use d20s as your damage dice instead. I think there's a little bit of ambiguity here because combo die does do damage, but is it technically your damage die? It's arguable. Yeah, I'd say that there's a little bit of nuance there. Yeah, I mean it's a bit unclear, Chris, what Daggerheart defines as damage die and how it meshes to any die dealing damage. Yeah, there's a little bit of nuance there. Definitely putting that in the feedback. So tier 4 crushing. When you roll a 1 on the damage die, it can be treated as the highest value. Oh, what am I doing? Sweeping. Your targets, your attack targets all adversaries within very close range. Deal half the damage the targets against you. So this is just free whirlwind, right? What does whirlwind cost? A hope. Free whirlwind. Not bad. I think sweeping should go down one. Yeah, I think sweeping should go down one. Discerning, you may choose the target of your attack after making your attack roll. The GM will tell you who the attack would succeed against. So that's like fake punching and then going sideways on your attack. Two attacks. I think that one's funny. I actually think that's actually mechanically pretty good to be able to just ask your GM who hits. That's very similar to is it Battle Monster? There's one that basically gets you. Oh, it's basically Reaper Strike, which basically makes an attack against everyone who DC hits. Yeah, discerning's good. I like that. Discerning is actually really strong. Mathematically, I think. Okay, so that's this. Now we need to go through the specializations. We didn't even look at that. Keen defenses. I'm going to go through this quickly. When you are targeted by an attack, you can focus. You can spend a focus to make your adversary's attack roll use a D12 instead of a D20. Very similar to Warlock here. Spirit Blast. Spend a focus to make an attack roll using Instinct against an adversary within close range. On a success, you deal D20 magic. Use your proficiency, and you can spend them an additional focus to make them vulnerable. Hadouken. Hadouken. It's just basically what it is. That's all it's saying. Limit breaker for martial artists on mastery. After rolling your damage from a melee attack, you can spend a focus to shift the value of all damage dice by +1. Any dice that have already landed on their maximum, roll an additional damage die instead. Spirit Blast is broken? I don't think Spirit Blast is that broken. It costs a focus. And you probably don't want to use focus there. You want to use your focus to shift stances. I don't think it's that broken. At level 5, how many we get? Because focus is equal to... Focus is equal to how much? Oh, sorry. It was in that. I don't know why I'm looking there. Focus is equal to... Mark of stress plays the number of focus equal to your instinct. Minimum of 1. So at level 5, you have a what? A +3 or a +4? That's not too bad. You can only use it Spirit Blast 4 times, but then you can't shift forms and take a different stance because it takes a focus. So it's not I don't think it's that crazy strong. Where's the Super Saiyan transformation? Super Saiyan transformation was on Warlock. You got a multi-class, dude. Okay, let's build a character. So I'm gonna take the 3. Immediately take the 3. Bone and Valor cards. Okay, let's switch over. I'm gonna do this on paper. Kind of shuffle it up a little bit. So do this on paper. That might not be zoom easy. See if I can fix the zoom here. Oops. Why isn't it letting me fix the zoom? Why can't I zoom in? Ah, no, I'm going backwards. And somehow I have a second camera on there. That's different. Okay. Not the greatest quality either. I don't think so, right? Probably not the best quality. I'm going to do it anyway, see how this works, see if I can get the camera to fix later. But evasion is going to be based at 11. I should not be using a pen. Where is my pencils? Okay. So, I need to look at the ancestries. I don't know. Let's think about making something optimal because I want to playtest this to the best. Like, what would be the most optimal here for a melee fighter? I think immediately it's giant. It has to be giant. Like gaining the additional range on a punch, giant. And I'm gonna go mix ancestry if I need to. So giant, what's that one? It's a top Let's see. Giant is a reach is a bottom, so I can take a top from someone else. And I'm totally open to suggestions here. I'll open this up. If anyone has any ideas. Let's see. Giant, maybe orc top. When you have 1 hit point remaining. Okay, so I could take giant. Okay, tusks. Tusks deal less damage base, though. Fawn kick. Is kick a top? No, kick's a bottom. So I definitely I feel like giant reach is the best because it treats any weapon, ability, or skill that is in melee range as very close. Fawn could be good. When you succeed on an attack against a target within melee range, you can mark a stress to kick them off of yourself. That's not bad. Ooh, I could do. Yeah, Prince. I was actually just thinking about that. So I do Firbolg. Firbolg Giant. Take top part of Firbolg. Go charge into Reach. That puts me at. I'm making a Minotaur. I'm making a Minotaur. That's sick as hell. Actually, we go. I actually am there for the vibes, like a punching Minotaur. I think is just for strictly vibes. I don't like. I think give me another combination. The Fearbolt can have the reduced stress. I'm not too worried at stress because we're playing at level 1. I need someone to pitch me something better than Minotaur because I'm gonna go Giant Firbolg for Minotaur now. I don't think there's anything better than that. Giant Dwarf, when you take minor damage, you can mark 2 stress instead of marking hit points. Giant Dwarf is just a normal dude. That's such a dumb. Fun Girl Network, I don't really think is going to be a thing. Though, I am pretty sure I am going to go highest skill is Instinct. That makes the most sense for being my +2. So yeah, I think that makes the most sense going Instinct. So I'm gonna go Firbolg. I'm gonna go Firbolg Giant. Let's think about community next. So Heritage, Firbolg. You cannot read this at all. Like this is like not readable at all. I can tell that you cannot read any of this. Let's see if I can zoom it in anymore, but I think the quality is just gonna go down. Giant Dwarf just becomes a slightly taller dude. I have 2 cameras now. I'm just gonna keep zooming this in. I'm gonna be like, see if this works. This is like not how I want to stream at all. Okay, that's a little bit more legible, I think. That's better. I can deal here. I'm so sorry for everyone who's watching stream. This is nauseating if you are a little head dizzy, and I apologize. Wait, charge from Fergal is very contextual. What is it? Hold on. I'm going with it. I like the idea of just like jump in. Can a Clank Warlock get a favor back on short rest? Hold on. I would say so. A Clank Warlock is really interesting. You're just playing as Pinocchio at that point, though. Okay. Firbolg. I'm gonna go Firbolg Giant. Actually, I'm not gonna write that down. I'm just gonna write Minotaur. Okay, so I am playing a Minotaur, for sure playing a Minotaur. Class says fighter at the top. Subclass, we'll think about that in a second. Actually, we're gonna think about that now. So subclass, we went with, I think we go with martial artist because I do want to play around with the stance switching. So I'm gonna go with martial artist here. And I know I'm stepping away from my mic a bunch, but it's kind of hard when my mic's solid, and I have to go back and forth. So I'm definitely gonna take martial artist. Don't think there's a reason to do anything else other than that. Starts with 6 HP, I assume. Doesn't say anything else otherwise. I'm just gonna go with whatever this was boxed in is what we get. Evasion is 11. Community. We need to look at communities. So we have I just dropped my water. We have a couple. So we have Highborn, Loreborn, Orderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, Underborn, Waterborn, Wildborn. I think Wildborn makes a good amount of sense for Lightfoot, and I'm a Minotaur, so I've always been there, been in the living, been out there. Ridgeborn, I think, might make some sense. Kind of thinking about what would be more fun. I'm definitely not going Loreborn or Highborn. I don't feel like I need to. Slyborn, not really care for. Underborn, don't really care much for. Seaborn. So naturally, in my mind, in my head, because of my personal homebrew world, my Minotaurs in my homebrew world are like wayfarers. So they sail the seven seas, or they sail the seas, and they're like traders. Um, so in my mind, Minotaurs are seaborn, but I like Underborn does make sense. Minotaur's maze. That's right. And low light living makes sense too. What else we got? Wanderborn's always fun. I love the nomadic pack. Scumborn, yes, Austin, Scumborn from the very beginning of the stream. Scumborn, we totally forgot about Scumborn. That's so great. Not Scumborn because it's not a real class. But I was trying to say Slyborn, but I think I'm between Loreborn and Wanderborn. Manateeborn, yes. Sea cow, sea cow, Minotaur Bulg. I think I can think about this. I don't think these are I don't think Wanderborn or Wildborn's like a must figure out now. I'm gonna pass for now. Okay, so I'm thinking of right now. I think I am. I might even go with Seaborn just because of the sailing Minotaurs. But okay, martial artist. I'm going with that, which means I need to pick some stances. What sounds interesting? I'm going to switch back to the other screen because that way you can all read through what I'm reading. Stances. We get to pick 2 of these tier 1s. And honestly, I'm just going to circle it. I'm not going to write this stuff in because they give it to us anyway. That'll be my first homebrew community. Just for me. Thanks. Homebrew community. Scumborn. Can't wait. Will Foy. Will, what's up? Did I miss someone? I missed someone earlier. B-Dub, see ya. Welcome to the stream. We're going over basically this character sheet. I also just realized the top left right now is frozen for some reason. I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay. I think we go with when you roll the maximum damage die, roll an additional. And that's so hard to go by. I feel like stances are so much fun. Who in the right mind would pick the Juggernaut subclass? So once again, I think we said this a little bit earlier. I don't know if you were here, but the reason that Juggernaut needs to exist, the reason that this class needs to exist, is because we need simple classes. Simple classes are good for ease of access, pre-mades, learn to plays, so that way you're not overwhelming somebody with options. So that's why we need a simple class. But I agree with you. I would much rather play those stances because that just sounds like more fun. I like quick. I think I'm gonna just take quick, unless anybody has any really. Minotaur does seem super grapply. Do we have one over restrained? Yeah, we totally do grapply. Minotaur's taking grapple. On a successor attack, spend a focus to grapple. Hell yeah, we take this. We take grapple. I'm gonna mark that down. Taking grapple. It's funny how similar your statement is compared to how people talk about 5e Battlemaster. So here's the thing. This is where I don't like stances because it does set a little bit of a weird precedent on grappling. But I don't know. Daggerheart's a lot more simple. With D&D, it's one of those things where it's you cannot trip on making an attack because that's what Battlemaster does. That's what I don't like. But so I am a little bit hypocritical, but I think Daggerheart, it's an easier system to do something like maneuver stances because there's a little bit more flexibility already as is. There's nothing stopping you from it. But anyways, I definitely want grapple. I was thinking that. I was thinking quick to do double grapple because I can also do charge to do like quad grapple if I jump into a group of enemies with the Furbolg. So I think quick grapple is where I'm initially going with. Um, I also am fine with defensive because I'm like jumping in the fray and I don't want to get those hits. So taking that disadvantage is going to be substantial because my evasion's only 11. I agree with you also. If it releases in the state, for all future fighter subclasses won't have stances. Yeah, but here's the thing. I think you could also make this martial artist form like just not say martial artist, and you could make it just a generic form for like stances, and now you can pull the stance form into a warrior subclass. Like you could use the stance form into a, I don't know, maybe a codex plus bone for, I don't know. Blade Singer doesn't fit that niche. But you could make something a little bit. You could change things a little bit different. Underborn and Wildborn seem a little too similar to me. I find that communities are kind of just a flavor. I wish that they just like they kind of made it where you just get a free feat and then there's like flavors that you can like throw on it. It's kind of a little communities. I'm not necessarily happy with communities in Daggerheart. Mind you, I love this game. This is by far my favorite game. Matches the way I GM, matches the way that I really like to play it. But I do think communities is the weakest component to Daggerheart. Personally, my opinion. Once again, um, and that goes with all communities. I just think communities should just be a kind of off, like kind of odd. Okay, what are we taking? I think quick, right? Quick is what we want to go with. I don't want to get steady because I want to be dodgy. I'm between quick and defensive. I'm gonna go with quick. I'm gonna go with quicker defensive. I'm gonna circle both and then make the decision later because I still have like 4 days before I have to commit to this. Um, Communities do get more interesting with campaign frames. Yes, I do. That is 100% the best way that communities are used. Um, but base game, it's kind of rough. Good call. Okay. So uh, Ridgy feels like fighters all also can have a lot of experiences like Pit Fighter Monk, Drunken Master, etc. That could be fun. Oh yeah, I can't wait to get to this experience. I love coming up with these experiences. They're like especially with you all here. Like this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so what do I have left? Let's go with cards. So, oh hey, it is synced. It did resync back. Okay, cards. So with cards, I have Bare Bones, Forceful Push, I Am Your Shield. This is gonna be why am I doing this? This is like a nightmare for you. This like quality's not great. Let's just do this. Let's go here. We're gonna go to game rules. We're gonna go to domains. I'm just gonna filter it. This is gonna be easy. We're gonna do Bone, Valor, List View, Filters, 1-to-1. If you don't know how to navigate, this is how you navigate it. List View, Card View. Okay, these are the 4 cards. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, this is the option that we have. It's easier. I'm just gonna. How do I hide this? Hide. Oh, that's me too. Dang it. Hold on. That one. How do I get rid of the frame? Why is the frame still there? That's fine. I'm just gonna move this. Oh shoot. Okay. I clearly have not used. Oh, what the world is going on? This is like the worst. Like this isn't fun. I'm so sorry, everyone. This is just not working out. I give up. I'm just gonna leave it there. You guys don't need to see the picture. So we have Bare Bones, Death Maneuvers, Forceful Push, I Am Your Shield, See It Coming, and Untouchable. I mean, this is kind of obvious to me. I'm gonna probably take Bare Bones. Your armor score is 3 plus strength. Ooh, so that means I have to do like strength into it. Tier 1, it's 919. I mean, I'm playing a monk. Like, I don't see why I don't take this. Like, these are like, here's the thing: Valor and Bone. My personal opinion, Bone is the strongest domain deck. Like in terms of like survival, like it is the survivability one, but like I think it's just really strong in general. Um, I don't need Death Maneuvers. Don't really care much for that. I don't need Forceful Push. I don't think. I see it coming when you become a targeted by when you get targeted by an attack made from beyond melee range. You can mark a stress to roll a d4 and gain an evasion equal to the result on that attack. I don't really care much for that. Gain evasion equal to half your agility. No, I mean we can disagree. That's perfectly fine. I just Codex is one of those that is definitely really really strong late. Gives you a lot of options. Nothing's gonna ever beat Time Stop. In the words of Brendan Lee Mulligan, friendship is not the most powerful magic. Chronomancy is. Nothing's gonna stop Time Stop. I just think in terms of like flexibility, I find that Bone to be very strong. I also think Valor is really strong. There's actually a really good combo, just with all the stuff that you have available to you. I Am Your Shield is really strong. Like wow, these have like really strong options. I'm kind of in between Untouchable, I Am Your Shield, Bare Bones. Okay, let's do this then. Ability scores. I've already committed to +2 instinct. I want that because of that's what I want. If I take Bare Bones, that means I'm gonna give a +1 to strength. I need to get a benefit. Unless I just want to take the 3 for armor. But I do kind of want a little bit more armor. I could also, if I do Untouchable, I need to have at least a +1. Um, to get an increase in evasion. If I get a +2, it's still just a 1. So I could do ability and agility and strength, and then kind of just go 0 finesse, 0 either presence or knowledge, and either be a not smart boy or a not socially inept boy. It's kind of the two options I got. I'm gonna definitely dump one of those two. I might even take strength as my +2, instinct as a 1. It's only a difference of 1. Um, yeah, you have a lot of options here. I think okay. I'm definitely taking Bare Bones. That's a for sure happening. So I'm gonna put my threshold in as 9 and 19, which is just so much, so high thresholds for level 1. I think then I will increase my armor, and I'm gonna put a +2 in strength, which is I'm glad why I use pencil. And I'm gonna be 1 instinct, 1 agility, 0 finesse. And what are we doing? Do we want to do like make me dumb, or make me not good at talking? I think I'm leaning towards not good at talking, but talks way too much, and then just has moderate knowledge. I'm going with like a Minotaur sailor vibe, is kind of how I'm building this character. So I think I am going Seaboard. I wasn't intentionally. I think it just now I'm just like for sure locked in a Seaboard since I'm going with Minotaur sailor. I'm gonna go with it, unless I see someone convince me otherwise. Let's see. I'm curious. What are other people's thoughts on um, characters that they would want to play or see themselves playing as? Um, I think I go with negative presence, 0 to knowledge, and just be someone who talks too much but probably shouldn't. This is gonna hurt me a little bit, but I am gonna go Bare Bones for sure. And now I'm between Untouchable. Armor score is currently 5. I'm either going with Untouchable or I'm Your Shield. My evasion already starts at 11. Untouchable increases my evasion to 12. It's not much. I like the idea of being a protector, so I think I am going to go double Valor and go I Am Your Shield. So yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let's just go with that. We'll just go super protect the Minotaur boy. Bare bones and I'm your shield seem not to work together. Vis is vis armor. I wouldn't say so, right? Hold on, let's see if I'm your shield got changed. When an ally within very close range would take damage, you can mark a stress to stand and make yourself the target instead. When you take damage, you can mark a number of armor slots. Bare bones and I'm your shield seem not to work well together. Vis armor? I'm curious. What is vis a vis? I don't know. I may be dumb. I don't think I am. But I don't know what vis a vis is. But yeah, so I think that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start thinking about experiences. What am I gonna do for experiences? You only get 4 level slots. You can have 5 with bear. Yeah. Vis-a-vis? Vis-a-vis? Vis-a-vis. What's vis-a-vis? Wait, what does that mean? Vis-a-vis. Face to face. Beat me to it. Face to face. Should not work together. Face to face. Armored. I don't know if I understand. I don't know if I understand the disenergy. Help me understand. I want to know things. Okay, experiences. What am I going with? My current thought for an experience is called that's a lot of damage. Calling back to that meme of that's a lot of damage. I think I just you'd have no armor to pay. Well, no, bare bones. I get 5 armor slots. So, because with bare bones, reading it, I gain a base armor score of 3 plus my strength. So I get 5 armor slots. I actually get more armor slots, I think, than base, like plate mail, if I go this route. If that makes sense. I think that's why I'm doing it, because I feel like there's more synergy there. But, bull in a china shop. Ooh, bull in a china shop is good! Bull in a china shop is so good! I'm doing that. I'm gonna write it in black. Because bull in a china shop is so good. Totally going with bull in a china shop. Bull in a china shop. Thing. I just saw no. I just saw. What in the world am I trying to say? No, Jason, you're fine. This will definitely be uploaded again. I'm gonna have a condensed version of like the whole stream. Eventually uploaded. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to do so. Um, Big Trouble in a Little China Shop. I really like the bull in a china shop just because of like the phrase. So we are at one more experience. So I'm going with a hold on, where am I at? A Seaborn Minotaur or Furbolg, which is basically a Minotaur giant, with I'm Your Shield and Bare Bones. I'm gonna put these cards back. I'm just gonna hold these. I actually should probably put both these cards back because if my kids somehow make it into my office, which they have been doing for some reason while I'm gone, it's annoying. And just taking stuff. I need to start locking my office. Is really what I need to do. Oh, knows now. Gotcha. No, it's all good, Jason. We'll have plenty more of these streams. Maybe not this rest of this week because I have games every night until Monday night, and then even on Monday I'm still running something in the morning. Because yeah, some of you I think in the chat, if you're still here, Austin or Travel Entertainment, I'm gonna be playing a Colossus of the Drylands. The seats are filled for Colossus of the Drylands, but I do still have, if anybody's in here that is interested in learning how to play Daggerheart, I do have Learn to Play spots open. Tomorrow I'm starting a Learn to Play campaign. That is down in the description down below of this stream. It should be. If it's not, well, I messed up. But um, what's it called? But I also have Learn to Plays this Friday and the next Saturday as well. So if anybody's looking to play in Game of Daggerheart, I also will just have a bunch of stuff. Austin, building your character right now. Yeah, this is the time. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Level 8 is the Colossus campaign we're going. I'm really excited for it. I just kind of finished prepping. Finished. I still have to do a lot. I'm still like keep reviewing my stuff because it's a new campaign frame. Um, but yeah, starting invasion, 11. Armor is 5. I like Bull in the China Shop. I'm still thinking of 2 more. Seeing Red. I like that. Here's the thing. Bull in a China Shop feels like a very destroy, or maybe I can be like subvert the reality of like maybe adding it to my finesse rolls for Bull in the China Shop. Like I'm trying to not hurt break anything, even though I feel like I am. I don't know. It's up to the GM. I want to have like a different experience that maybe helps me in more of like social encounters. I don't know. Like I like Bull in the China Shop because it's a little bit vague. I like those like vague ones. That's not too like I don't like pirate, even though that's the description that Darrington Press often uses. Oops, my bad. Um, One more experience is all I need. Primary, secondary weapon don't matter because I am the weapon. Active armor doesn't matter because I'm going bare bones. Inventory. I do get 1 inventory of. I think we're just gonna take health. Health pot. Let's see. 1 more experience should be. Does your character have a job in the world? I don't really know. We're playing. So I'm playing in a Witherwild campaign. So yeah, actually, let's look at Witherwild. Let's look at Witherwild. That's a good call. Thank you for triggering job because that triggers campaign frame. So I'm playing in Witherwild. I don't know why I'm looking at this. I am running a Witherwild campaign tomorrow, but this is just gonna get some more juices flowing. I am Seaborn. Both Fainwick and Haven have coastal borders. The majority of the Fainwick seaborne communities live in small seaside groups and focus on local travels to neighboring regions, while Havenites tend. Oh! Before I answer those questions, I need to answer these questions. Okay. Where did you spend time during your formative years that taught you directly or indirectly how to fight in this style that you use? I feel like this guy is just scrappy. Like, he didn't really learn a whole lot. So I feel like all it would be is like on the ship, like brawling, maybe with like brothers. Grew up with brothers. I feel like I'm like trying to fulfill my like dad's job. Maybe my dad's like a naval captain, um, and I am like the runt, and so like I'm trying to like, or maybe like I'm just the youngest. Or maybe I'm like the second youngest. I have like a little brother at home that um, is like incredibly gifted. I don't know. I feel like I like the story of like having a big family. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. So formative years, I spent just with a big family. I had older brothers that basically beat the hell out of me because that's what older brothers do. It's not actually what older brothers should do, but it tends to happen. What group or organization have always had your back? How did you get in their good graces? A family. I had family. Organization. Um, I'm gonna name my character now. I have a name already. I'm gonna name my character Tartarus. Um, I runt of the litter is a good experience if I'm sold on like being the youngest, but I don't know if I'm sold on being the youngest. Um, ooh, what if I'm like what if I'm not the runt of the litter, but I'm the opposite? Like I am the largest, but I'm the youngest. So it's like maybe big little brother, or little my big little brother. Yeah, I like that. Big little brother like makes me feel like I am a character. like I grew up and like I've always been like I was bigger than my brothers when I was like middle of my formative years. So like by the time I entered middle school, I was larger, just as large as my brothers. Um, Family business is a good one. I like that. Big baby. I don't know if I love that, but I think it's funny. Um, Big baby's funny. Little big baby? No, that's weird. I don't like little big baby. Okay. Let's think. Family organization. So I'm gonna name my character Tartarus. I already like thought about that. Um, Actually, so side note, Big Brovine. That's good. That's a good one. Big Brovine. Oh, I really like Big Brovine. Big Brovine though has similar vibes to Bull in a China shop, but I could use two hope to add both of them. Actually, Big Bro. Actually, Big Bro is good. Big Brovine I like a lot. Um, Man, okay, hold on. So hold on, I gotta think of my family. Tartarus. Um, Maybe Tartarus is like my last name. Maybe I was lost at sea. I don't know. I gotta remember. I'm also bringing this back to the weather wild. So okay, I like the fact that I'm a big family. Um, Younger name. So let's go back to this. I'm gonna read through this. You traveled across sea of Vestas, and what went terribly wrong on the passage? How was it changed you? Hmm. Ooh, okay. So big family still. But I have a lot of like younger siblings. But is it clear in the rules you can add two experiences? For some reason, I assume you couldn't. Um, yeah, you start with two experiences. Every character, no matter what class you are, you start with two experiences. It's in a doc somewhere. Um, I don't want to pull it up because yes, just the answer is yes. I know I'm fairly confident with it. I'm not gonna pull it up because I want to like focus on this and finish stream and go to sleep because I realize I've been going for 2 hours. Um, so you recently traveled on sea over the vast and what went terribly wrong. Okay, my thought now is maybe I'm not part of a small family. Like maybe I lost. Um, Oh, is it clear that you can add two experience? Yes. So as long as you have two hope, you can add two experiences to a roll as long as they're not the same experiences. So yeah, I couldn't add Bull in the China Shop twice. I can only add Bull in the China Shop once, and then if I have another one, so if I go with like Big Brovine, which is I'm leaning towards that a little bit, you get to add both. But that is a yes because as a GM, I can also do the same with fear. If I have two fear, I can add two adversary experiences to a plus to make sure I hit the players um, because of reasons. Okay. Um, so my initial idea of what went terribly wrong is me and my brother, my older brother, were in charge of a ship, and it was like our first time, and I came back to shore, or I came back to dock, and my brother wasn't there because he got lost at sea. And so my dad blames me for that. And maybe my dad was like maybe like think football dad vibes, and like my brother was the star, and maybe I am the runt of the litter. Um, and so now I'm like having to, uh, but yeah, maybe I do have to like, I'm trying to make up for that. Okay, growing up on the sea have taught you a few skills. How did you learn and how did it save your life? Knots, tying knots. I don't know how to tie knots. Don't ask me questions about knots. I'm not a knot tire, but knots. I feel like that's easy. You used to sail with a companion. Who were they, and how do you remain connected? Okay, so I like the idea that it was my brother, and my dad. I say it's like I don't even sail with my dad anymore. Like I'm no longer a sailor, um, but um, I'm no longer a sailor and I used to sail with my dad. And how do I stay connected? I'm kind of not, but I still hold like my brother's like badge, or my brother had like an action like a wooden token that I still hold and think about every single day. I think that's what I'm landing on that. I think I'm going with brother token made of wood. I think I'm going with that. I think that's where I'm gonna go. And then so with that last question, Who? Oh, sorry. What organization? I'm going with the name Tartarus. What if Tartarus is my last name, and that's also the name of the family, and then I go by Tartar for Minotaur. Tartar. Yeah, and I just go by Tartar or Tartar because I'm a sailor, so I go by tartar sauce. Oh man, this is just fun. Um, okay, so I'm a sailor. Organization, the Tartarus Trade Company. They technically always have my back, but maybe not anymore. I can flex these here. These are just background questions. Just get me started. Who did you lose long ago that you are desperately in a rematch for? Oh man, like I feel like I've been building this character as like losing my brother. I think that's gonna be my pivotal point. I lost my brother. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I really like the story of a minute. Like I no longer am a sailor, but I'm still seaborn. I still know everything. Um, but I lost my brother, and now I'm in the Wither Wilds. Um, because maybe like I'm in the Wither Wilds, like looking for a way to like a portal. Maybe I'm looking to try to convene with the gods. Like I'm not from here. I'm not from this land. Um, like you can't pick your own half court basketball team. Tartar sauce, love it. I'm tartar sauce. They call me tartar. Hold on. Does this have the map at the bottom of it? Where's the map? Um, where's the map? Map? Oops. No. I want to see what the Witherwild's map looks like because I feel like I know where it's at in the book, but I feel like it should be here. Map, 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 map. Witherwild map. See appendix. There it is. Witherwild. See full size. Okay, so given that like maybe I like sailed here, and I'm like now in the Fanewick, and I'm trying to find a god to help me find my brother. Or maybe I learned about like my brother being here. It's like that's where I think I am. Yes, this is Jason. I think we are in same game together. Olivia's running it. Olivia's great. Olivia's just so great. But yeah, so I am building this for the Witherwild one shot. Um, so yeah, maybe I'm not from the Witherwild. Maybe I'm not from Fanewick or Haven, but I happen to like arrive here, or maybe I'm like a Havenite, and I am, and because the Havenites really hate the Fanewick and the Fanewick gods, so I'm looking for a Fanewick god to find my brother who's somewhere um, at sea. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with this. I can deal with this. I do need one experience. Sea legs. I like sea legs. I think I like big brovine, but now I'm not the big brovine. I'm not the big bro. I'm like the little bro, and I lost my big bro. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Have you seen my big bro? Have you seen my brother? Do you know my big brother? I know. No, dang it. I like the idea of like maybe like I do something for like have you seen? Like lookout, but like more vague lookout vibes. All right. I gotta settle this because I want to finish in like 5 minutes and like call it for sure. Like call it at my time zone is 11:30, so I can go to bed. Um, hmm. Big Brody bro. I like Big Brovine. I like Little Big Brother. Could also just go with tartar sauce. I don't know how that would apply. Hmm. Let's see. I could go with Trader. Like, that's a little basic. Hmm. Let's see if there is. I'm curious. This is what. So I've done this before. Oh brother, where art thou? Okay. I B Dubs Sia, B Dubs IA. I don't know how the breakdown of your name is because English is hard, but you came up with the first one, and I think I might end up going with the second one if I don't see anything in like the next minute or two. But I like Oh brother, where art thou? Oh brother, where art thou? Oh brother, where art thou? I gotta figure out a voice. I'm gonna be like driving back and forth from work, so I have a 40-minute commute from here in the school that I work at. Um, and I just do voices on my drive home. In the morning, I'm too tired to think, but on the way home, I'm usually doing voices on the way or like just session prepping. Oh, brother, where art thou? Hell yeah, you're good with phrases. But yeah. I think I'm gonna go with that. Hey, brother, how art? Oh, brother. Oh, brother, where art thou? All right, it's in black, so that means it's solidified. All right, so with that being said, what do we do today? I don't know why I'm reviewing like I'm in class. We talked about the void. We talked about the warlock. We talked about the fighter. Warlock, really great class. Or sorry, warlock is a class that's the features and the hope feature are very underwhelming. I think favor needs some balance. I think the hope feature definitely needs to be changed because there's way too much hope to for a possible attack miss when the GM can possibly spend a fear. Um, I think the questions are great. I love the thematic. I think early game it's a little difficult. Later game, the domain cards are so solid, so good. I want to play a warlock at higher level. Path of the Endless is great. Path of the Wrathful needs a lot of work. I think it just costs too much, and I think either if they redo or rework the favor system or just rework Path of the Rightful outright, you get a much better idea of how to make it more wrathful. In terms of fighter, we found that the fighter itself is a very good base class. I think the staggering strike is great. I love the combo strikes. The weapon's really solid on their class features. When it comes to the stances, some of the stances can be up adjusted here and there. I don't think everything's in the right spot. I think some could go up a tier, down a tier. But then in terms of classes, I think they really nailed what they want for the fighter. I think there might be some like small tweaks and making like maybe making the juggernaut a little bit high, like bump it up in terms of flexibility, at least once, especially once you get to master. But it's a very good basic and beginner class. And then martial artist is just fun. It really fulfills the role of a fighter or a monk, especially with a focus and it very much being like almost a one-to-one. The one thing about fighter that I will say, and kind of like not maybe a hot take, maybe not a hot take, is fighter I think needs to be renamed to something like brawler, not pugilist, because pugilist is very difficult to quantify. Like you've a lot of playtests and a lot of other games find that pugilist is not a very popular class because people don't know what the hell a pugilist is, but people do know what a brawler is. I think monk is a little too on the nose of like what you want from the Eastern um, martial artist. But yeah, that's what we did. And then we built a character. I'm playing Tartarus this Saturday in a one shot. I don't get to be a player very often. I usually GM. But other than that, if you are joining and this is the first time you joined and you're kind of catching the tail end, feel free to jump into the Discord. Link is down below or on our channel description. We have a whole bunch of stuff that we do and talk about. I run games of Dungeons and Dragons. I have a couple learn to plays on Friday. I have a learn to play campaign that's going to be lasting the entirety of the summer. That starts tomorrow. We have our session 0. Spots of that are slowly filling up as I think I just got a message from someone who might be interested because they messaged me earlier. Um, and then I also have other games that are being run. I have a Beast Feast game that I'm running on Sunday, and then yeah, just a bunch of stuff. We have a new show coming out next week. There's just a bunch of stuff going on. So just hop on over to the Bladebound Saga Discord, have a chat, have some conversation, hop in some games. Other than that, everyone, I'll see you later. Now I get to do the awkward thing of finding the exit button because it's tabbed somewhere else. There it is. Once again, everyone, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because that's what YouTube people do. Anyways, bye, everyone.